That was about as good an effort in these last 5 points that Kansas has scored as a team could possibly make when things are drifting away from him with some big threes in it. Taylor gets set, good pass, Reed's open.
2 huge 3-ball, and then Taylor and Reed both contributed huge threes during that rally.
And you know, I thought they really did a good job in just getting people open, and obviously Taylor and Reed taking advantage of the fact that they were open. That was as quick and as good a comeback as you could expect a team to have that's lost its lead.
Holly, we saw Joseph back on the floor. What's the prognosis of his injury?
Well, Corey Joseph got a pretty good cut underneath of his eye, but his cut man / athletic trainer Eric Fry got him back on the court pretty quick. Jacobin Brown, though, a right ankle injury. He keeps grimacing, walking gingerly on it on the bench right now. Don't know if he'll be able to return.
All right, Holly, thank you very much. They will miss that firepower. They've got Joseph, so Hamilton will have to pick it up, but he nails a 3.
Boy, that is what they've got to have for Hamilton. It was a quick screen, and Hamilton came off of it, and he gets set up with his feet in the right position to shoot the ball as good as any jump shooter I've seen. I've got a little foul, pushing foul down low.
And if that's Markeith, that's the 4th.
Well, that's a tough foul now. You know, still 6 minutes to go, and that eliminated a possession for Kansas. They had no chance to score on that possession because of a push-off.
Now, what really has handcuffed Self, remember now Marcus is playing with 3. So he was up alerting him that he's got to stay out there with Robinson. And of course, one thing you can do, you can probably use a little bit of a zone down the stretch, and Self doesn't use it very often. Robinson's doing a very good job of defending Thompson inside, and that one's going to be short. And there is Reed. I can't say enough about some of the dirty work that Tyrell Reed does game after game. Great defensive job on Higgins of Colorado last night. Over the top, and here is Marcus. Hamilton's on him. Now here's Robinson on the other side, and Tristan Thompson playing with 4, remember. There's a pump fake, and Robinson on a drive. There's your ball fake. Really good. Gave him the opportunity to go, but they better get turned around. Oh, man, Joseph again. Texas calls a timeout. Kansas came down with their backs to the ball, and he was able to take it right in on top of them. They had no idea where the ball was. Back at 7 o'clock, and the boys will look at who's got the toughest draw, who's got the easiest, and let the speculation begin. It's just a great day. Taylor is cut off, kicked back. Robinson over the top now wants Marcus. You know, we have a little break here. I got to go back on one thing from the first half. You know, the so-called Fab Five having trouble finding Bailey. They didn't even know that Chaney was in the game. Chaney won a little credit, too, on that great Indiana team, huh? There's Taylor. And missing, and now the Horns. Do they have it in them now for one more great run here? Jacobin back on the floor. Yes. As soon as you see him all alone like that, folks, here is a memo for whoever draws Texas in that first game of the NCAAs. Do not let Jacobin Brown sit out there alone. Taylor set that up in the Kansas possession when it was a very careless move that he made to the bucket, kind of a hoop-de-doo, instead of just taking the ball to the bucket and laying it up there. Fade off the glass, Morningstar, kiss it in, coach. The most important bucket of the game was that one right there. That was huge because the Horns were putting together a run. Now it is at 10. Plenty of time, 3:46. Lucas Joseph will try the 3. No, and a defensive rebound. They would not let Tristan Thompson in for that rebound. There is the value of the Morris twins. Marcus pulls it away. They get a bucket here. They'll go into the final 3 minutes, 12-point lead. There's no sense in them being in a hurry. They got 20 seconds. Puts down Morningstar. Tap back by Robinson. How important is the block out?
how important is something that you can do no matter what your size or quickness is, and that's get your butt into somebody and don't let him go to the board. Tremendous move by Robinson, taking advantage of the fact that nobody got a piece of it.
Well, Tristan Thompson got his offensive.
Texas credit for is that they've battled Kansas better than even in the second half. I mean, they have come out. They haven't accepted the fact that Kansas had that 16-point lead in the first half. They've come back very hard.
Keith DeMarcus. Double trouble. 2.5 minutes to go now. Just two outstanding basketball teams. I can't say enough about these two teams all year long.
Of all the things that Kansas has done in this ball game, Brent, I think the best has been to keep Thompson under control, to keep him off the board, to keep the ball away from him, for Texas to be able to play the best teams in the country and play them even up. Thompson has got to score, and he's got to get stuff off the board.
So they are edging closer to the Big 12 championship as Markieff hits Marcus. Big brother to the small brother. An easy deuce.
But the Cougars trail the Aztecs, guys.
All right, Dari, and so the young man from Hoboken, New Jersey, was on the free throw line. Tyshawn Taylor leading Kansas with 18 points. All 5 starters, Bob, in double figures, plus Robinson. And I want to follow up on your point about Tristan Thompson, who's still out there with 4 fouls. You look at his line today. He's been on the free throw line only once. And this foul's going to go against the Jayhawks. Looks like Morningstar.
And we thought that in our discussion about this game last night and again this morning, and when we were at lunch, we thought that Thompson might be the kind of guy that could really get the Morris twins in a lot of trouble, and he has not been able to do that. It's kind of worked the other way.
Absolutely. Well, Marcus and Markieff are both on the floor right now. 18 for Hamilton. Markieff finishing with 4. Marcus has 3 fouls. Tristan Thompson also has 4 fouls as Hamilton makes his first 2 free throws and gives him 19 points. Down to 10, 154. Looking for a little magic.
I think I'd really get into Morningstar with Hamilton. They came out there. Hamilton kind of let him bring the ball across midcourt. You're going to have to get at him hard. You just don't have enough time left not to.
They're playing D without reaching into foul here so far. Marcus, and it's Keith this time. Turnabout is fair play. Let's go the other way. Wow, what a performance by the Twins here. And Hamilton responds for the Horns a little short. Taylor tracks it down. And now he is fouled. Juan Minnie, Angel, the mother of the Morris twins, up applauding, and the end is at hand. Revenge, revenge, revenge. The Jayhawks losing in Lawrence to Texas earlier this year, and now here for a Big 12 championship trophy. They're up 10 with 1:11 remaining. Well, coming up right after the game, they'll present the Big 12 championship trophy at midcourt, and it will be covered by ESPN3.com and Big12Sports.com, so you can see all the presentation. And over on ESPN, College Game Day, driven by State Farm. Would you be upset if I gave the MVP award to Taylor, whose mom was up applauding in this game?
Not at all. I think Taylor has been very good. He's been good defensively. I think he's been very good. The good choice that Bill Self made in putting Taylor in the starting lineup and just saying, let's see what you got.
Here's that haunting cry.
I want to tell you something before I no longer have a chance to do so. Many years ago, I had a chance to work a couple of games with
Dick Enberg, and another time I had a chance to work a game with Kurt Gowdy. And you know how I feel about Kurt Gowdy, and I want you to know that I have the same thrill and the same enjoyment working games with you as I did with Kurt Gowdy or Dick Enberg. There's nobody in this business that has been any better than you or as good as you in all the time that you've been a help to college basketball.
That's so kind of you.
I've never been accused of being kind.
You put me in great company. That was the old cowboy from Wyoming, Kurt Gowdy. You and I loved him. I know you went fishing with him. And Bill Self, here's just a grand. I know how you respect the coaching ability of Self.
You know, for year after year, his team plays both ends well. They compete well. Like this turnaround, when they got down to an 8-point lead, there's just something extra that Kansas was able to bring themselves in terms of what they were doing out there, and they did a great job, and all of a sudden 5 points back, and it's a 13-point lead, and basically the game's over. Had that not happened, we may be looking at a 4-point deficit here with a minute to play.
Final minute. And you know, Bob, we cannot leave as our crew has just been so good this year. Mike Roig, our director, Aaron Stoikoff, our producer, all the camera guys and all the people that do all the little things for us. It has been a pleasure all season long.
Well,
Seth Hayes
really
does
good.
the graphics for us, and Seth is outstanding. He gave you so many good graphics during the course of this season. And it's Bubba Slosby. I can't forget Bubba. Bubba's the man who's in charge of the post-game party.
Well,
Bubba, get it ready, baby.
I'll tell you what, it's been a great group of people to work with, and you couldn't be any more to the point or any more accurate than the job that all of these guys, they got beat down the floor a couple of times because they're a little bit slow in getting down, but boy, they have been a very, very good basketball team today. Beating a good team. Not a very, very good team today, but definitely a good team.
Well, you think about the Big 12 Conference, and I hope Jets, Lucas knocking down. No, thinking about you as one of the great coaches I was ever around, and Mike Krzyzewski will try to defend the championship with Duke going into the tournament. It's hard to believe that you as a mentor, and Dick Vitale was talking about it in the ACC game today, that you have a young man who played for you at West Point, and of course he's going to eventually break your record for victories, whether it's at the end of this year in the tournament or next year. It's just remarkable, Bob, the coaches that came away from you knowing the game of basketball. I want you to know that any of our broadcasters works with you, they're going to know more about basketball than when they first sat down. Trust me on that, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that, but they ought to hear my wife talk. There's no question in Karen's There's no question in Karen's mind that she knows as much about it as I do, and no question in my mind that she certainly does know as much about it as I do.
Hey, let's you and I meet down in Jupiter, Florida, and watch the St. Louis Cardinals here in a week or so.
I'd like to do that. Let's go down and watch Albert hit a home run and see what our pitching's going to be like, and wish Tony well with the baseball season. We got to get into that pretty quick now.
And get Albert Pujols signed up. Will you get him going with the Cardinals? It's final 30 seconds here. The Texas Longhorns were not able to do it twice in 1 year, but I've got to tell you, the one thing we also have to point out, this is a team that hasn't quit. I mean, they battled back here in the second half, got it down to single digits. Looked like they were going to make a run, and then a spirited Jayhawk come back, and they're up by a dozen now.
Well, I think what we talked about was very, very a big effect on Texas play in the first half. That difference in the games last night in terms of time. People would argue, well, it was just 3 or 4 hours. That's huge in this situation.